enter the nuclear war, where will you be?
Oh, my goodness me. Well, now, look, the whole point of having nuclear weapons is to stop a war of any kind.
If there is one, where will you be?
I should be in London.
Oh, don't you have your own bunker or something?
The doomsday clock stands at 7 minutes to midnight.
Democracy was running through our fingers.
Russians had multiple warheads, which would have obliterated everything.
It was something in the air. There was a paranoia.
Everybody had fire in their belly, and we just needed out.
Britain is a very creative place. And out of that came this bonfire of conflict.
We're redefining who we are and what's going on.
All this technology gave birth to the world that we live in today.
It was a dynamic time. It was explosive.
Fashion was important, individualism was important, sense of freedom was important.
In the 80s, Britain had this massive significance.
We have ceased to be a nation in retreat.
The 1980s. The Cold War is entering its 4th decade, and the shadow of nuclear apocalypse is part of everyday life.
I want to counter something that dwarfs party politics. Indeed, to an issue which dwarfs every other issue of our time. We have invented weapons powerful enough to destroy the whole world. Others have created political systems evil enough to seek to enslave the whole world. The first duty of a British government is the defense of the realm, and we shall discharge that duty.
Could we have the first question, please?
In view of the fact that the Soviet Union has just launched 50,000 megatons of nuclear warheads against Britain...
Yes, yes.
Which will be arriving in approximately 4.5 minutes. What are the panel's views on Britain's future as a world power?
Well, we haven't got much time. I'd like to go over to Rudolph B. Now, Rudolph.
Help! Help! We're all going to die!
The United Kingdom is in crisis.
This country was once the finest nation on earth. We were famous for our love of freedom, justice, and fair play.
Crisis? What crisis?
Between 78 and 79 was the winter, which now is known as the winter of discontent.
Crisis? What crisis?
You had grave diggers on strike.
Crisis? What crisis?
You had huge mountains of garbage in Leicester Square.
Crisis? What crisis?
The people on the right saw us moving into a communist country. The people on the left feared that we were becoming a fascist country. Every issue got inflamed out of all proportion. This was a very, very polarized country.
Two brothers, Charles and Maurice Saatchi, immigrants from Iraq, are leading the way in a new style of advertising that draws on the power of pop culture and speaks directly to the emotions.
WA, New York. Hold on. Goodbye.
Hello, darling. You look marvelous.
Everything is a product, a style, a feeling.
Advertising is about the individual, about expression of what you wanted to be. It reflected what people were thinking and feeling. It was about ideas.
And I will feel this way forever. Share the fantasy.
Margaret Thatcher sees the power of advertising to help sell her political vision that puts the individual at the center of everything.
Do you think you'll win the next election, Thatcher? I believe we shall win.
Thatcher realised advertising was a real tool if you used it correctly. And of course, she had the perfect partner in Saatchi in doing so, and they did it brilliantly.
Today, we are famous for discouraging people from getting to the top. Famous for not rewarding skill. talent and effort.
Mrs. Thatcher was a demanding, ambitious person. It fitted us.
In a word, Britain is going backwards.
The ad guys had direct access to Margaret Thatcher and people immediately around her.
Money that's worth less than French money, German money.
Thatcher had the last word. And so there was more cut-through, and they were able to be that much more daring.
Don't just hope for a better life. Vote for one.
The mix of slogans and nostalgia helped Margaret Thatcher to win the election.
Some far-left reaction is bitter and unforgiving. But in general, Britain accepts the novelty of a woman premier with cheerful anticipation.
How do you feel at this moment?
Very excited. It is, of course, the greatest honor that can come to any citizen in a democracy. There is now work to be done.
But before Margaret Thatcher can deliver her vision, Russia invades Afghanistan. And it has a new generation of SS-20 nuclear missiles aimed at the UK.
The Russians had multiple nuclear ICBMs targeted not just on London and Manchester and Birmingham, but, Leeds and possibly Coventry, Bristol, Edinburgh. Multiple warheads, which would have obliterated everything.
Today, after Afghanistan, the doomsday clock of the Association of Atomic Scientists stands at 7 minutes to midnight, closer to nuclear war than at any time since the two superpowers gained the bomb.
The government publishes a booklet of advice in the event of a nuclear attack called Protect and Survive, and makes a public information film to go with it.
When you hear the attack warning, you and your family must take cover at once.
I think it's the one sign of a government telling truth to the population. They couldn't really mess about with that. And such truth, it goes to the extreme. You're suddenly seeing the face of a monster.
If anyone dies while you are kept in your fallout room, move the body to another room in the house. Label the body with name and address, and cover it as tightly as possible in polythene, paper, sheets or blankets.
Patrick Allen at the time was very much the kind of voice you would hear on TV adverts.
Barratt, Britain's major private house builder, offers the largest choice of top-value houses, from £8,000 right up to £50,000. And that's a breakthrough.
That was very strange, that a familiar, friendly, attractive British actor was essentially telling you what to do now you were about to die.
The cruise missile is one step ahead of the game. It's said with somewhat wry humour, you could aim it straight through Brezhnev's bathroom window.
Thatcher agrees to allow American nuclear cruise missiles to be based on British soil for the first time. The military strategy: if Russia launches a nuclear attack, Britain will respond. The principle: mutually assured destruction. Or MAD.
And on that sobering thought, we leave you with the personal comment on nuclear war from Kate Bush, with a song called Breathing. And let's hope we can all find some clean, radiation-free air left in a few years' time.
Kate, that's a total departure from the sort of romantic songs you've been associated with in the past. Now, is there any significance in that?
I think only significance in as much as it's a subject that's very real, and is obviously more outspoken than a lot more of my songs, yeah.
When you say it's real to you personally?
When I did write the song, it was from a purely emotional, personal point of view that I was incredibly struck at what we were doing to each other, and that just one button, one bomb could do one hell of a lot to any of us.
These preparations took all day.
Nuclear fear seeps into the culture. Documentaries debate survival chances.
On blast protection. How would they survive at 3¼ miles?
Raymond Briggs writes When the Wind Blows.
Lie down.
His story of an ordinary English couple trying to survive a nuclear strike.
I used to think that we had this deterrent policy, and I believed in that at the time, and did the book still believing in that, but now I realise that we're all preparing for a nuclear war, and the government's madly preparing for nuclear war, and it's all rather a grim state of affairs.
Construction begins on huge silos to house the nuclear missiles at Greenham Common Air Force Base. Ronald Reagan is elected President of America, a former Hollywood actor known for playing tough-talking sheriffs in westerns like Law and Order.
You wanted law and order in this town. You've got it. I'll shoot the first man who starts for those steps.
Reagan visits Britain with a message that the Cold War can be won.
The march of freedom and democracy, which will leave Marxism, Leninism on the ash heap of history as it has left other tyrannies which stifle the freedom and muzzle the self-expression of the people.
Thatcher and Reagan see communism as a force of evil that must be defeated, and nuclear weapons as a tool for peace.
The thing about nuclear weapons is that they have prevented not only nuclear war, because they're so horrific, but they've prevented in Europe conventional war as well.
What would you do in the event of a nuclear explosion?
Go outside and welcome it. Say I've had getting on for 62 years of fun. Let's end it all.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
Britain is in a state of anxiety and rapid change. High inflation, strikes, war in the Falklands, even a new TV channel. Its first programme, appropriately, Countdown. Thatcher's nuclear policy divides the nation. The campaign for nuclear disarmament organises mass protests.
We had to draw a line out and say, no, we're not going to die by nuclear war, and that means we have to get rid of the nuclear weapons, all of them.
Greenham Common becomes the focus of an all-female protest group, determined to stop Margaret Thatcher's plans.
I first came into contact with Greenham Common when I joined Channel 4 News in 1982. It was extraordinary. Women came from all over the country to join the protest.
Mrs. Thatcher seems determined not to listen to you. Is all this worth it? Oh, this is certainly worth it. After all, Mrs. Thatcher's got to come to an election very, very soon.
I remember the first time I went to Greenham. At each stage of the journey, there's this sense of growing to be a part of something. The fact that you're kind of heading the same way, knowing that you have the same purpose. It's a real strengthening feeling, you feel like. Yeah, we could do this.
Against all expectations, 35,000 women from across the country descend on the base. Holding hands, they surround the 9-mile perimeter. The next day, they take their protest further and prevent all access to the Air Force Base.
All the main gates that they could have driven in through, they were all closed, and the policing changes dramatically.
When one had to go and advise Margaret Thatcher on something, I always felt that it was rather like going into a cage with a leopard you thought was trained, but might suddenly bite your arm off. When there was such demonstrations, Margaret Thatcher was a great comfort to President Reagan and to the Americans, because I don't think she ever left them in any doubt that she would have this handled firmly.
The fact that the women were constantly protesting meant that we constantly covered the issue, and that's what those women were trying to do, and they were successful.
A British Medical Association report found that in the event of a full-scale nuclear attack,
deaths and casualties would be 2.5 times greater than official Home Office estimates. In such an attack, over 38 million people would be killed and over 4 million left to die of burns, radiation and starvation.
With the country contemplating nuclear annihilation, at Christmas, Channel 4 broadcasts Raymond Briggs' iconic story of innocence lost, The Snowman.
We're walking in the air. We're floating in the moonlit sky. The people far below are sleeping as we fly. Suddenly, swooping low on an ocean deep, rousing up a mighty monster from his sleep. We're walking in the air. We're dancing in the midnight sky. And everyone who sees us greets us as we fly.
Margaret Thatcher has invited US nuclear weapons onto British soil. The women of Greenham Common are determined to stop her.
We had our timing, dawn, and we just went for it. The ladder women put the ladders up. As I came over the carpet, I kind of almost dropped down. And I started that retching of fear. And at that point, we just ran and scrambled up the outside of the silos. Then it felt really exciting.
With the women dancing on the nuclear silos, Margaret Thatcher tasks Michael Heseltine to deal with the problem.
The Greenham Common women mobbed my arrival. Margaret wanted me to take on the debate with the campaign for nuclear disarmament, which was obviously a very important run-up to the general election issue. And I had no problems at all in following government policy.
How much notice are you taking of the growth of the women's peace movement?
Well, I'm going to make the speech now, so let's get on with that, shall we?
Do you see them as a formidable force?
Let's just go on, make the speech we've come to make.
Getting rid of the women threatens a PR disaster.
It could easily be shot down.
They could not easily be shot at all. Everybody knows that, and to suggest it is mischief. The fact is, it would require the most determined and extreme form of threat for that sort of risk to exist, and people clearly understand that. But it is my duty to make it equally clear that that risk is there.
Anyone who breaks the law to invade someone's private property is a threat. If you do it to a military installation, you can have the most devastating risks being taken.
I think that he hopes that the fear of being shot will make us leave, and that fear is not going to stop us.
We generally don't do what's expected of us. I don't quite know what Michael Heseltine is expecting us to do, but I'm quite certain we aren't going to do what he expects us to do.
There's nothing more dangerous than somebody who doesn't have any fear, because what weapon are you going to use against them if they're not frightened? What lever is there? Fearless women, wonderful things.
Some say she's crazy. They all say she is a great designer. Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Hammett.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world.
Catherine, it's often been said of you that you have a genius for knowing what people want to wear. But what kind of people would want to wear these clothes?
Well, quite ordinary people, I think.
Ordinary people?
Yes, ordinary solicitors, businessmen, secretaries.
The women of Greenham Common find an ally in the world of high fashion.
We were getting so much publicity for the clothes we were doing. We were actually on a ridiculous roll. It was hysterical fun.
I first met Catherine on London Fashion Week, and this elegant, tall, very posh woman in a brown lurex jumpsuit. And she turned around and said, there's got to be better ways of getting the anti-nuclear word out. So she came up with the idea of these amazing, huge T-shirts.
Giant fucking white T-shirt with huge lettering on it that you can read from 200 metres away. And then it's just as few words as possible. And the beauty is, you've got no filter. If you see it, you've read it, it's inside your brain. There's nothing can stop you having it there and it haunting you.
A surprise invitation to number 10 hands Catherine Hamnet a PR opportunity she can't resist.
In recognition of the contribution made by British designers, Mrs. Thatcher is hosting a reception at Downing Street for them. It coincides with British Fashion Week.
I wasn't going to go, you know, I didn't care. But then that afternoon I was in the office and I thought, actually, it could be funny. Margaret Thatcher with my T-shirt on.
And one young lady with a message.
Put the hand out and shook it and, you know, winner's smile. And they started flashing and then they started whirring. And she said, oh, you seem to be wearing a rather strong message on your T-shirt. And she went down and I went, ah! Squawked like a chicken. But she did come back and say, we haven't got Pershing here, we've got Cruz, my dear, so maybe you're at the wrong party. Very good. But I got the picture.
And that photograph of Catherine standing there with Mrs. Thatcher in her T-shirt went out all around the world and became the most used news photograph of the agencies.
Support for the campaign for nuclear disarmament threatens Thatcher's hopes of re-election in 1983.
I completely opposed CND and everything it stood for. I mean, it was a left-wing front organisation. But the polls were devastating. And one day I thought, we'll change the nature of the debate.
For 38 years, we've enjoyed peace in Europe.
Saatchi & Saatchi, now one of the world's biggest ad agencies, are drafted in to help.
Today, more than half the population living in Britain has never known what it's like to be at war. Perhaps because we've been at peace for so long, we've forgotten that much of the world is still a dangerous and often hostile place.
We thought we'd had peace since the end of the war, thanks to the nuclear weapons. So we thought they were the best instruments of peace that man had ever invented.
After the First World War, we disarmed, believing that no one would ever want to fight so appalling a war again. We were wrong.
Dismantling our defences is no way to protect our peace. Indeed, it is only because we have been resolute enough to defend our peace that we have actually preserved it for nearly 40 years.
Aided by a decisive military victory in the Falklands, Thatcher wins the 1983 election. But it does nothing to quell tensions with an increasingly paranoid Russia.
America says the South Korean airliner was shot down by a Russian jet with a missile. 269 people are feared dead.
It was an act of barbarism, born of a society which wantonly disregards individual rights and the value of human life and seeks constantly to expand and dominate other nations.
Alarmed at Thatcher and Reagan's insistence they would defeat communism, Russia believes that NATO are planning to attack.
Andropov developed a concept that NATO exercises would be used as a cover for a first nuclear strike on the Soviet Union.
With terrible timing, NATO starts its largest ever war game, Able Archer. The finale will be a simulated nuclear attack, which is exactly what the Russians fear. The British Secret Service start to receive reports from Russian double agent Oleg Gordievsky.
Gordievsky was warning us that the Soviet Union was genuinely concerned that this NATO exercise would be the prelude to a first strike.
Russia took it very, very seriously. They loaded nuclear weapons in Poland and in other Soviet-occupied countries and Warsaw Pact countries. We were on real hair-trigger point at that time.
There would be no scenario we would have launched the first strike, but I think we were close to receiving a first strike.
The near catastrophe of Able Archer is kept secret from the public, but the fear is everywhere.
There was something in the air. There was a paranoia. The capabilities were there for the Russians to launch a nuclear bomb. And the Americans had already done it, of course, in World War II. For someone who was thinking about things, it was definitely a possibility.
In Liverpool, a young Holly Johnson writes a song that captures the moment.
This bit's good. He came in with that track. Holly wrote it. It was a good lyric. Two tribes go to war, point is all that you can score, then score them all.
When two tribes go to war, one is all that you can score. Score the war, score the war. When two tribes go to war.
Creative director of ZTT, Paul Morley, sees a chance not just to release a pop record, but to make a statement.
Let's think about this and let's think how we can react and let's have a voice. This is our chance to have a voice. This is our chance to resist. This is our chance to focus some response.
It didn't really hit me till Patrick Allen came in. And when I gave him the script of what we wanted him to say, he went, oh my God, do you know that I signed the Official Secrets Act when I did this?
If any member of the family should die whilst in the shelter from contamination, put them outside.
He said, I could go to prison for doing this. I thought, oh no. And he said, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to do it.
Remember to tag them first for identification purposes.
When he was doing that bit, I was like, man, this is gold dust. This bit is gold dust.
If any member of the family should die whilst in the shelter, put them outside. But remember to tag them first.
For the music video, they invite directors Kevin Godley and Lol Cream to bring their own vision.
We were excited because we were going to get a Godley and Cream extravaganza, and they were at the top of their powers. High on life, high on many things, high on what a pop video was. And I sent a manifesto, and they chewed it up and spat it out as a fight. Physical fight between Reagan and the Russians.
The Two Tribes pop video is launched on Channel 4. The song becomes the longest-running #1 of the 80s.
It was just before 9 o'clock as the Starlifter came into land at the end of its overnight flight across the Atlantic.
It's barely a week after Able Archer, the military exercise that almost triggered a Russian attack. The first American nuclear missiles land on British soil. The stakes have never been higher.
I should inform the House that earlier today, the first cruise missiles were delivered by air.
The Americans had flown the cruise missiles in over the heads of the women at Greenham. Women were in despair. I just felt we couldn't fail.
Women protesters were doing their best to tear down the airfield's perimeter fence with their bare hands, and in one or two places, almost succeeding.
Hello, Alison.
Your question to the Prime Minister?
In the
been to the nuclear war, where will you be?
Oh, my goodness me. Well, now, look, the whole point of having nuclear weapons is to stop a war of any kind.
If there is one, where will you be?
I should be in London.
Oh, don't you have your own bunker or something?
Look, dear, let me again point out the possession of these weapons has kept the peace for 40 years.
We did have a refuge for the government where we could go in the case of a nuclear attack. It was outside London. I remember going home and boasting to my family that if there was a nuclear war, I would be safe because I would be taken to this underground bunker. My wife and children were understandably very cross with me and said, "How can you possibly say that when we would be killed?"
There was a list. There were a large number of military people, large numbers of Conservative politicians, and there was one woman, Mrs. Thatcher. And in a facetious way, I said to the chairman of the committee, I said, I note that there's a lot of people of one party who are going to be preserved, and just one woman who is probably beyond childbearing age. So if we're talking about the future population of this country, it doesn't look terribly promising.
Apocalypses do tend to sneak up on you. I didn't have a clever plan. I assumed I would die.
Filmmaker Mick Jackson persuades the BBC to show us something we'd never seen before. What a nuclear war would actually be like.
Hell. I want to make a movie that actually imagines for people the unimaginable. What it will look like, what it will feel like, and by implication, what it will smell like and taste like. It was about what war does to people. And that might temper the government's rhetoric when they talk about we will win.
7 million people tune in to watch Threads.
It's in Sheffield. It's in our everyday world. It's us. This is where we are, and this might happen. And that gives it a real shock. It's not like in a far-flung future.
There was almost no information from the government, and my feeling is that the government at the time and subsequent governments probably realized there was nothing they could tell the civilian population. We can't protect you. That was the kind of gut fear I had in the 80s, and that didn't go away.
As the country watches Threads, the reality of how close the West is coming to provoking nuclear war sinks in at the top levels of government.
Thatcher was persuaded to tone down some of her anti-Soviet remarks, and she gave very good advice to Reagan to tone down his remarks.
Double agent Oleg Gordievsky offers up a new and vital piece of intelligence.
Gordievsky was telling us that the rising star in the Soviet Union was Gorbachev. And so the Foreign Office persuaded Mrs. Thatcher to send an invitation to Gorbachev to meet her in London. And this had never happened since the 1950s. The KGB was asking its station in London to provide a briefing for Gorbachev, at the same time as we were asking Gordievsky to provide a briefing for us. So Gordievsky wrote the briefing notes for both Gorbachev and Mrs. Thatcher.
And then the man who could be the next leader of a superpower was given a glimpse of Mrs. Thatcher's organizing abilities.
It was a great success, and I think it was that meeting that really started to persuade Mrs. Thatcher that there was something that could be discussed.
I respect him. He's very able. And on that basis, yes, we can do business.
Prime Minister Thatcher called President Reagan and said, you know, you're going to like this guy. You're going to think that, you know, you don't agree on most issues, but there's something to talk to him about, and he's very engaging. Once he heard from Prime Minister Thatcher that this is somebody you could do business with, boy, his juices were really flowing.
Margaret Thatcher is not the only Brit whose influence is being felt in the US. A new breed of British directors who have been making adverts for the likes of Saatchi and Saatchi are bringing a new energy to Hollywood.
Have you ever done it in an elevator? Not recently. I bet you haven't.
They are redefining how movies are made about sex, about fame, about the future.
We had people like Ridley Scott, Tony Scott. They all came out of commercials in the UK. If you can make a point in 30 seconds, persuade the world to do something, imagine what you can do in 90 minutes.
And Tony Scott, a former art student from Sunderland, makes a film that reinvents the war movie.
Tony knew exactly the style he wanted. He understood the images he wanted to produce and how the music is going to play. Because, like he said, this is rock and roll in the skies.
When we went to Hollywood, we realized that actually we can turn this story into even more commercial or more popular film than you imagined. And we were good at that.
Tony had done a Saab commercial that had jets in it. And that was a big plus because, you know, our concern was photographing jets.
Tony Scott's Saab advert showcased his talent for making military hardware feel iconic. Exactly what the producers were looking for. With the bigger canvas of Top Gun, he's able to paint a picture of a heroic war, a winnable war.
All right, talk to me, Goose. He's still back there. He's closing in on us. He's closing fast.
You can run, kid, but you can't hide.
I just remember it being like a very, very long music video, as I recall, which I loved. I mean, I thought it was great.
It is very commercial in terms of close-up style, intimacy that you want to have on commercials as you've got a product. It's a style that pulls you in. It's a Hollywood movie. We're having fun. You've got to end with a big battle. And that's one of the things we all agreed.
Okay, radio lock. Good tone. I'm taking a shot. Fire!
What this view of warfare portrayed for me was, I mean, it's like knights in armor in the jousts. There is no consequence to it. It's all about Top Gun equals top dog. I will be smart enough and clever enough, and I will win. So it was about winning.
I got a good lock. Firing.
And this is dangerous stuff.
Woo! Splashboard!
Top Gun becomes the biggest global box office success of 1986.
Top Gun was attractive because it was glorious. Recruitment shot up after the movie came out. Well, if you're going to do a movie with really good-looking people showing how really cool it is to be in the Navy, you don't want to lose the war. You want them at the end to win the war. That's part of the glory.
May 1986. Top Gun is stunning audiences worldwide with its advert for American military hardware. The same month, the Soviet Union is reeling from the nuclear meltdown at the Chernobyl reactor in Ukraine. And the women at Greenham Common are finding creative ways of blocking the use of cruise missiles.
The protesters argue that if they can stop a cruise missile convoy, anyone can. So the whole convoy system is dangerous and vulnerable. On the other hand, critics argue that in wartime, these roads would be closed to everything but military traffic. And in wartime, the armed guards would have orders to shoot to kill.
Encouraged by Margaret Thatcher, President Reagan agrees to meet the Soviet leader, Mikhail Gorbachev, to talk about the nuclear problem.
Reykjavik was the first time that the Russians had sat down with the President of the United States to discuss de-escalating nuclear weapons. And so it was a very hopeful development. I think Gorbachev recognized that Russia couldn't outspend the West, and therefore a different approach was needed on the part of the Russians.
The KGB had bought up all the hotel rooms in one hotel in downtown Reykjavik. And right across the street was a big billboard for Top Gun. And someone in the Iceland government noticed this. And right when the Soviets started moving in, they took down the whole billboard because they didn't want to offend them.
The talks in Reykjavik fail. The missiles will remain at Greenham Common.
The Iceland summit has ended without any agreement. An hour ago, President Reagan and Mr. Gorbachev ended what had been the longest session they've ever had together, both men serious and unsmiling.
Shortly after Reykjavik, Channel 4 broadcast an animated film of Raymond Briggs, When the Wind Blows.
The Prime Minister, speaking a few minutes ago in the House of Commons, has warned that the international situation is deteriorating rapidly and that war could break out at any time in the next 2 or 3 days. Civil defense.
What's the matter, dear? Have you burned yourself?
This is it, Dux. This is really it.
When the Wind Blows, there was something so poignant about using a cartoon of an elderly couple like our mums and dads, maybe our grandparents, who were so trusting, who were so naive, who did everything that they were told to do in the government pamphlet, protect and survive.
Take shelter immediately.
I've never heard such language in all my life.
For God's sake, shut up!
Oh dear, I've left the oven on.
Get in, get in, get in!
The cake will be burned.
Lie down. Keep away from windows.
They were so loving with each other. They couldn't believe how all these things that they did were just for nothing. And as they died, they began to understand.
I'm going to have an early night, James. We could do with a good long rest after that blessed bomb.
Oh, yes, yes, it's bound to take it out of you, a thing like that.
The account of an ordinary British couple trying to cope with the aftermath of a nuclear attack personalises the situation.
Oh, look. My hair's coming out.
Oh, don't worry, dearest. Don't worry. Women don't go bald. No, that's a scientific fact.
After the Reykjavik meeting, Mrs. Thatcher was very active behind the scenes in getting those negotiations restarted. She gave Gorbachev a lot of support in principle and sort of spoke up to the American administration saying, you should at least address this issue.
Margaret Thatcher urges Ronald Reagan not to give up on talks with Mikhail Gorbachev.
Reykjavik did go down very well with the European public opinion. And I think Mrs. Thatcher was very aware of that and therefore counselled Reagan to be more constructive in engaging Gorbachev.
Welcome to the White House. This ceremony and the treaty we're signing today are both excellent examples of the rewards of patience. On the Soviet side, over 1,500 deployed warheads will be removed, and all ground-launched intermediate-range missiles, including the SS-20s, will be destroyed. On our side, our entire complement of Pershing II and ground-launched cruise missiles, with some 400 deployed warheads, will all be destroyed.
That was the treaty that got rid of the cruise missiles from Greenham and from the rest of Europe.
The departure of the missiles was in sharp contrast to their arrival 5 years ago. Today, the United States Air Force was only too anxious to show how it was complying with the INF agreement by sending the missiles home to Arizona for destruction.
The missiles are removed from Greenham Common. After a decade of escalation, Finally, a glimmer of hope. 3 months later, the Berlin Wall is torn down. The giant Soviet empire crumbles. But at the end of it all, the threat of long-range nuclear weapons remains. Filmmaker Mick Jackson imagines a scene for his film A Very British Coup that suggests a different ending.
With this action, we shall be saying to our children and to our grandchildren and to their children to come, the road from Hiroshima stopped here, now.
In A Very British Coup, nothing happens except that people get used to the idea that maybe we don't need nuclear weapons. A nuclear weapon is a very delicate thing, but it's basically very simple. And so I conceived of this sequence of a Polaris warhead being dismantled live on television with everybody watching. So you had an image that it was possible physically to take one of these damn things apart. It has Mozart of the Qui tollis peccata mundi playing, which is the most passionate bit of the Mass. Literally, it means who taketh away the sins of the world, as you see the innards of a nuclear warhead being dismantled. And in one shot, you see doves flying and women looking into televisions in a shop window. That was the Greenham Common women in that shot. It was the UK seeing a nuclear weapon being dismantled before their very eyes, and they should be the people who saw it.
Soviet television viewers will soon be seeing Western commercials on a regular basis, thanks to the world's biggest advertising agency, the British company Saatchi & Saatchi. They've signed up an exclusive deal with Soviet TV to oversee its advertising operation.
For Soviet TV viewers, the shape of things to come.
British Airways – самая популярная авиакомпания в мире.